Welcome. My name is Dennis Hancock. I'm the president and CEO of Mountain Valley MD, and I'm thrilled to be able to host everyone today. So thanks for taking the time to tune in for our annual general meeting. What I wanted to set us up for today is just we're going to run through the business, so much to be proud of that's been accomplished over this last year, and then really give everyone a really clear picture of where we're headed, all of the people that are coming together across some really amazing projects and some new things that have never been shown before today. So I think you're gonna enjoy the ride of where we're going. For me, how we've boiled our mission down to more life answers everything. You know, the idea that I would ever be in this kind of role to work with such a talented group of people focused on something that isn't just preventing death as the opposite of more life, but also projects that help people live a better life and that get them engaged with, you know, a great night's sleep, transferring to their energy the next day to do their job better, weight loss, energy, all of these categories. And then on the pharmaceutical, you know, calling as we do advanced work in oncology, husbandry animals, the whole ecosystem benefit of healthy animals and healthy humans. That's a pursuit that gets me out of bed every day, and it's infectious as we think about the work we do and the team that does the work here at Mountain Valley. So if you're new to our story, maybe I'll just start off by giving you a really quick snapshot of like, what is this company? What are the things that you do with your technology that ultimately get you to more life? So what does that look like? We have one technology called QuickZone, which essentially, you know, takes molecules, wraps them in a liposome and enables it to be delivered in a new format that bypasses the digestive enzymes and liver, and by simply, you know, rapidly dissolving under the tongue. So that opens up a whole world of opportunity for efficacy and the variability being dramatically reduced to oral competitive products. We also have technology that pursues solubilization. Drugs that are more soluble are ultimately more effective. So we have lots of projects that are pursuing, you know, a dramatic increase in how those are processed through both husbandry and human applications. Then we have cold chain. I've talked a lot in the past, and we're definitely going to talk a bit more today, but cold chain is simply a temperature band of 2 to 8 degrees that most drugs and vaccines are delivered around the world to their endpoint of administration. Our ability to break the cold chain, if you will, opens up massive opportunity to get drugs and vaccines to those on Earth who need it the most. So back to a home run in our more life quest, if you will. And then the final core technology is our dose-sparing adjuvant. And dose-sparing is a theme across all of our technologies, doing less, doing more with much less, I guess is the best way to say that. And that dose-sparing adjuvant work is as simple as it sounds. If we can take vaccines and use a fraction of it for the same response in a body, that's worthwhile work for us and something that we're pursuing. So we're going to give you an update on a lot of our projects today on how those technologies are applying and how excited we are to bring those technologies to the marketplace. So thanks for joining us today. We've accomplished a lot in the past year, but we have just got started.
One of the areas that I'm really happy that as a company we're working in is the oncology space. I'm pretty sure that everybody that's listening to this has either had a family member or somebody they know that's been affected by a type of cancer, myself included. In addition to the patients that I've seen and the family members that I've seen dealing with cancer, we know that there's a lot of unmet need within that space. We know that there's over 10 million people annually that die from cancer, so we feel that it's really important for us to contribute to that and contribute to our motto of more life. So to do that, we've been studying a lot of different cancer types. We've looked at triple-negative breast cancer, we've studied non-small cell lung cancer, and we've studied malignant melanoma. Now, through those studies, we've found some very interesting exploratory findings that we're now working with our partners both on the clinical oncology space, but also our partners in Zephyr, who will help us with modeling and exploring how we can take our technology, apply it to insoluble molecules that have anti-cancer effects in the literature, such as macrocyclic lactones and other compounds, And how do we bring those products to a place where we can study these different cancer types and show benefit across the board?
So one of the projects that I've loved updating everyone on is cold chain. We've had some really amazing work where we've directly validated some of our work to preserve a molecule. In this case, we've worked with the polio vaccine and tested our ability to put it in a format that we could ship outside of the cold chain. We originally started our work with a strip format where we embedded it into a rapid dissolve, almost like a Listerine strip format. And we had temperature issues and stability issues in the production side. And during a business meeting with a pharmaceutical partner, they challenged us, can we do something that still gets back to a needle application? So meaning they value that vial. And why is that? Well, needle has the least variability, and there's already an infrastructure of distribution that relies on giving a needle to the end user. So this is another great example where our team kind of came back, did the work on how would that be innovated, what would it look like. So what we ultimately ended up doing was, instead of printing, if you will, I use air quotes for the word printing, but printing a desiccated liposome into a thin film, we now applied that mixture on the inside of a vial. So think of a really, thin, almost non-visible layer inside a normal vaccine vial. And we were able at that point to lay it in there with a certain technique using our patented technology, and then testing the ability to ship that, if you will, outside of that 2 to 8 degree Celsius band, and then rehydrate that vial locally in the point of the administration. So that was a huge accomplishment. We've been working directly with the FDA on a variety of projects related to this, and was really proud of what we had achieved there. We got to the point where we were able to effectively take one of the serotypes up to 100% preservation, up to 40 degrees Celsius, and two of the serotypes 1 and 3, up to 50%. And so that's a really amazing first try at that with that first technique. And the team now is regrouping and figuring out the final piece to take even yet more moisture out of the process, which is the Achilles heel in that project. So really proud of the work that's coming. Stay tuned as we work through that project. The reason I'm excited about it, just to make sure you guys all understand this, there's a massive wastage of vaccines. So people would be surprised to learn last year in 2020, $35 billion worth of vaccines were disposed of. And that's just simply because they didn't make it to the end user inside this temperature band. So 90% of the world's infrastructure, third world countries, 90% of their infrastructure does not have the electricity needed to keep things in that refrigerated state. So it's very logical that when we get to that end point of administration, there's a lot of spoilage. So imagine, the money that could be poured back into other healthcare treatments, the economy, schools, wells, in these markets where $35 billion is your savings point potentially. And then there's also another 17 plus billion a year on the logistical support to keep drugs refrigerated. So a very, noble project, one that directly contributes to our mission of more life, and really, really excited about the work the team's done there. So we've had a really amazing amount of activity going on in Bangladesh directly with the government. And for those that are new to our story, what spawned, how did we get, going down this pathway? Well, one of our, the big benefits of our Ivectol 1%, our solubilized solution, is that we were pursuing new novel injector marketplaces. And what does that mean? So when we look at husbandry animals, people may not realize that today a generic form of ivermectin is administered subcutaneously to heavier animals like goats, swine, cattle. and it's often done under restraint because it's quite a painful, heavy gauge needle. So I always describe it like molasses versus water. So now imagine being able to take something with the viscosity of water and injecting it through either a needleless applicator. So there's a lot of high pressure where it'll open up a hair follicle, directly inject, the Ivectol in this case, into the animal, versus alternatives that frankly don't exist because you can't put a thick bore needle in a chicken without causing serious harm or death. So we've previously stated in our press release, we're talking about close to 70 billion new annual injectable marketplace that would offer the precision of needle application in a class today that couldn't get it. So duck and poultry, small animals, etc. And then where that gets really exciting as we look ahead to the commercialization of that pathway is even the break off of needles in the food supply, the administration, the infection that gets passed from animal to animal. If we could come up with something that afforded new, novel, needleless injector applications, that would be a really exciting, innovation for the company to lead. So that kind of led us, full on to meeting, with some potential projects inside Bangladesh. We are really pleased with where we're at now. We've spent the summer doing our trials across poultry, goat, and cattle. And now we have the full commercialization pathway directly aligned with the government's expectations. So an example of that, we now are moving on to stability data that would be linked to our ability to do GMP produced Ivectol. So GMP, for those that are new to that, it's basically a quality standard that grade of ivermectin needs to be produced. And then we test stability that impacts shelf life and how will that go to market. That product requires a 6-month stability data. In the meantime, we will work on dosing formulations across all the animal species. So when our product goes to market, we will know the exact dose by species combined with the shelf life. So very, very excited to report that we're moving ahead with all of that. We have full direction from the Bangladesh government on the procedures and what's needed. And in the meantime, we're developing out our commercialization pathway for our go-to-market, and I'll give you a tiny peek at that. We're going down a path with the existing veterinary network inside Bangladesh, and we believe it'll be a really clever way to quickly bring that product to market with all of that data in hand. So stay tuned on that. You're going to hear a lot more about that project. We'll probably have 3-month stability update and then our full commercialization update at the end of that project. So again, really encouraged by what we're doing there. And for those that don't understand Bangladesh's role in the world, it's the 9th populous country in the world. Massive exporter of a lot of husbandry animals. They have a huge dependence both locally and in an export market on poultry and goat and a lot of the animals that we're going after. So again, very excited about what we're doing there.
While working on the animal husbandry trials with the Bangladesh government, we caught the attention from the Ministry of Fisheries. The ministry engaged us with a very interesting challenge that they're facing. They have tasked us to combat the parasitic attack that exists in the farm fishing industry. Our solution was to use our novel technologies. We took ivermectin, solubilized it using our QuickSol technology, and then embedded it into our desiccated liposome technology, QuickSol. With the use of both of these technologies, we were able to stabilize the molecule embedded into the fish food that could withstand the degradation while in the water for more than 10 minutes or however long it takes the fish to get to the food. We did a preliminary testing and we got really positive pulses to move forward into a bigger study where we would be looking at the efficacy of our Ivectol embedded into this novel fish food and looking at how it can impact the death rate that exists in the farm fishing industry. So please stay tuned, and we hope to provide you with some updates as we move along within our study.
So what I love about the fish project is it, to me, combines, all of the things I've been saying previously about innovation, moving fast, being challenged, and it embodies what I keep describing as change makers. Coming in, learning, combining technologies, and seeing how the team collaborated around that issue. I had no idea that 55% of farm fish can die in that ecosystem. And when you start to imagine what that means, imagine just something as simple as getting parasitic attacks under control, allowing the fish to grow in a healthier environment. So you of course have more fish, and you have fish that have grown to a healthier weight, which the entire industry is sold on. So that task has a massive implication inside a country like Bangladesh, but transferable globally as we start to look very seriously down these commercialized pathways. So still a lot of work to do, as Richa described, but very encouraged how the team can come together and continue to apply and problem solve. So another huge topic is obviously what's going on in the world right now around COVID. And just so much destruction, so much confusion even for consumers and loved ones and what to do. And while the world's rolling out vaccines and a whole bunch of different things in play, it's a reminder of our whole more life pursuit, the complexity of cold chain, the complexity of distribution, all of that. So despite all of the challenges, it's in an odd way a reminder that we're in the right space and what we're pursuing. So we've shared previously, COVID has always been on our radar, and we had conducted COVID clearance trials on 3 different variants in a BSL-4 facility. We were, pleased to report that we did see an effect of our solubilized ivermectin on the 3 variants tested. And now, of course, the obvious thing is, how do we translate that into human application? What are we doing as a company? There's a couple of pieces that intersect here that I think are really important, for everyone to understand. The first is, we don't do any human work until we have our GMP produced Ivectol. And GMP production's a very regulated, a sophisticated process to make sure that the quality standards, safety standards of that product is 100% of what that product is supposed to be. So that's a really simple one. That I've communicated previously. We have a world-class partner that's producing that for us as we speak and working through the process, and drives the entire online strategy, if you will, when we're able to do more with that product. So related to that, we have been working, as you would expect, on the human trial applications. And I've said previously, we're not, although we're interested in the North American market at some point for the sake of humanity, our focus has always been on trying to start in the markets that are the most disadvantaged, where we know vaccines would be the hardest to get to, either through cold chain distribution or just pure cost. So right now we're far along in exploration of where will we conduct our human trials. We've looked and passed on one that was presented to us based on the trial design. And again, we've restructured our own internal thinking and are pursuing a potential partner right now. So I'll share more with that, but again, just so you understand the moving parts, we've got the trial design, we've got government approval that needs to link directly to the availability of our GMP production or produced, if you will, Ivectol. In concert with that, every discussion we've had in some of these markets have always got to, do you guys have ivermectin, the generic ivermectin? And what a crazy time. There's lots of different media and different competing opinions. This morning, one of the things I pulled off just thinking about this, I have with me just something that I pulled off the FLCCC website that's sort of tracking the ongoing global trials with ivermectin efficacy in COVID-19. And people would be surprised. So first of all, there's been over 100 trials. And in the case of randomized trials and the ones that they count, with the proper control groups, 64 trials now, 641 scientists have conducted them across over 26,000 patients. We just continue to follow the science. Our position at Mountain Valley is that people who know better do better. And in this case, as we continue to get asked about ivermectin and how long until, if we ever brought a product to market with our generic Ivectol being, we have husbandry formulations, we have human formulations. What does that look like? So we don't even know the end of that yet, because those trials need to happen and finish, as you know. But what I'm really pleased to announce today is that we've seen a really significant demand for what I'm pleased to introduce as Ivectol. And Ivectol is our generic ivermectin product. It's a 12 milligram scored tablet that we have already started in initial discussions in third world countries, where we believe this will help fill a void on a product gap. Again, there's a lot of API shortages right now, and we had secured originally for our research a large quantity of the API for ivermectin. And then we also have this pathway forward for our partners that have immediate applications in their market, and then how will that translate to our human grade products as they go to the market, which again is a much longer pathway and one that candidly is uncertain, because that work needs to be done. So really excited about where we're headed. I would say that humanity just simply demands that. That product is one that we already have approval in key markets. But what I will say, if you're out there watching this and you have, you consider yourself a change maker that wants to help or do something in your market, contact us. We'd love to figure out how we can help you, and we will, look at how we can ensure that prescription grade ivermectin makes it to your marketplace to help in whatever initiative that you're driving. So really cool work, really proud of the effort that the team's made. I do think that translates into a fairly near-term, commercialization strategy in this space for us as well. And, that's always interesting, given the opportunity to help do better and also generate revenue for the company. That's certain to follow. So stay tuned on that. Lots of really exciting things to come. So I'm really proud of this next section in our partnership with Circadian Wellness. And we've previously announced this. I consider them a sister company, really, really great partnership. Very cool at the start of two organizations, how you can see the teams collaborate. From their end, you're gonna see in a minute, they've established what I would describe as a world-class brand that's got the ability to completely disrupt a space. And that part of that story is the countless hours of formulation work that Mike Farber on our end and his team working with their end on, what are their product objectives around better sleep, energy, these categories, pain relief. And again, not without stealing their thunder, you're gonna see how you can take something from a whiteboard into the lab, and then through the technology application, create something that's truly novel, that's truly disruptive. And so the shout out I would give to them, obviously wishing our partner a lot of success, but also their acknowledgement of our technology embedded, which is really a cornerstone of how we go to market. We've described our QuickZone technology as a trademarked, patented technology. But to me, I liken that to the Intel inside, if you will, in the computer industry, where consumers would go and, given a choice at retail, they would always pick the product powered by QuickZone. And that's Mountain Valley's way of giving our partners a differentiated advantage, but letting their brand shine and do what their brand affords them. So without further ado, I'm thrilled to introduce our partner CW and give you an update on where we are with that.
Thanks, Dennis. Awesome intro. I'm Alex, and this is Anthony, and we're from Circadian Wellness. We're a functional mushroom company that, wants to change the world, starting with how people sleep.
But first, you might be wondering, what do we mean by functional mushroom? Well, the truth is mushrooms can do a lot of things. Not just the fun things, not just the things in the kitchen, but also things that make us all better, happier, and healthier human beings.
And thanks to the revolutionary technology licensed to us by Mountain Valley MD, we're able to harness the unrivaled potential of mushrooms to safely, naturally, and sustainably bring health and wellness to the mind, body, and spirit, starting with how everyone sleeps. Now, before we go, how about we take a sneak peek at our brand, EONS, as we prepare to go to market.
I believe the work that we're doing in the dose-sparing adjuvant space is really important. Imagine giving a small dose of a vaccine, but getting the same immune response is huge. This would lead to more vaccines being given out to a greater population and even to those who are in dire need of it. This would decrease the production scale issues that pharmaceutical companies face. I'm really excited that we get to work with world-class partners such as Dr. Elizabeth Norton from Tulane University, and of course our scientific advisor, Dr. John Clements, who would be leading the study. We had a really good regroup meeting after the first trial, and with the learnings, we are going to expand our hypothesis in our upcoming study. So stay tuned, and we will update you as we move along.
Another area that I'm super happy that we're starting to prioritize and revitalize our work in is the diabetes space. Again, I'm sure most of our audience knows that diabetes is a really significant and severe disease for over 460 million people around the world. Diabetes is divided up into type 1 and type 2 diabetes generally, with predominantly more people in the world having type 2 diabetes. But irrespective of whether it's type 1 and type 2 diabetes, insulin therapy is something that's important for all of these people living with this condition. There's an unmet need again within the insulin space. So there's been a lot of innovation with diabetes treatments over the last 10 years. We've had a lot of different molecules treating diabetes in different ways. However, insulin still remains one of the cornerstones of treatment that eventually all patients may progress to. Now with insulin, there's challenges with cost, there's challenges with needles, there's challenges with the fear of injection, and of course there's challenges with low blood sugar or hypoglycemia, which is a common side effect that is seen with insulin therapies. So all of these things together have brought us to the point where we want to apply our technologies again to the insulin space and see if we can provide a needleless application of insulin therapy that could help millions of people around the world. Again, we're very keen and excited to work with our global experts within the diabetes space, a place that I've worked in for many years. And so I'm hoping to bring those advisors and those experts into the fold of Mountain Valley MD so they can really guide us on what is the best way to take our technology, apply it to insulin, and again, provide a potential solution for millions of people around the world who need insulin therapy and struggle with it today.
So what I love about our insulin work is that it, to me, embodies this idea of what is more life. More life is clearly, less death, but it's also, people living a fuller life, a better life. And so, as I've learned about even the insulin space from my colleagues, this idea of, needle administration of Humulin R, as example, as one of the molecules we've been working on. My vision, and as we start to describe what's possible if our work's successful and why we keep pushing ourselves, today, if someone goes out for lunch, they have to literally inject themselves, a half hour before their caloric intake, and all sorts of things can derail. Did they eat when they were supposed to eat? Did they have the calories? So you're constantly, fighting this spiking glucose level, and this really elegant vision of, could you get to the point where you sit down and you have these rapid dissolve wafers that you consume sublingually 10 minutes before you sit down, and you can say, hey, I'm about to have a cup of coffee and a muffin, or I'm about to go, for a big dinner. The idea of eliminating the needle side of that for all of the obvious benefits, but then also giving a precise medical control that would enable, those technologies to come to life is something, very encouraging to me as the team, continues to problem solve in that area. So again, I'm really proud about this next section. We have been working very hard in the cannabis space. I've given our shareholders updates over the past several months, and one of our big pivots as a company was getting away from the cannabis space as far as our assets and the cornerstone, if you will, of the company, into a technology company. But it wasn't to abandon cannabis; it was to play to our strengths, if you will, and leveraging our technology with a world-class cannabis partner. So I'm thrilled to announce today that we have formally signed a deal with Red, White, and Bloom, with Brad Rogers and his team, who we've had just a really amazing experience. Again, an example where formulation work applied to certain cannabinoids, and in this particular case, where medical certainty was required, because one of the cornerstones of our technology is the reduction of variability compared to other orally consumed products. So we're going after the sleep market, and we're going after 3 states initially at this current framework, and really, really excited. They're an amazing partner. Brad, if you haven't watched any of his videos or interviews, their company's doing amazing things. They dream big. They're a really good partner, and I couldn't be prouder to welcome them into our family, and we're super committed to make sure our technology continues to differentiate their brands and their products in the marketplace. So stay tuned. We're going to show you a lot of the packaging and the product evolution, but all of our initial formulation work has been really successful with them, and again, something I'm really proud of that the team's put together.
So in addition to the projects that I've already mentioned and that Dennis has talked about, we are pushing forwards with a lot of discussion and whiteboarding to understand what else can we do with our technology where there is an unmet clinical need within the world. Now that applies both to animal health and to human health, and we're looking at the applications of both Quixome and Quixol technology on taking a variety of molecules in a variety of disease areas and making things better. So for example, in human health, one of the unmet clinical needs in large parts of the underdeveloped world is in the treatment of the disease strongyloides. So strongyloides is a worm infestation that's generally treated with ivermectin and other compounds as well. But one of the challenges within this disease is the fact that the molecules that are taken to treat it are generally not absorbed very well in the oral form. So it works very well in line with our technology to provide an alternative route of administration, specifically for areas where absorption or oral intake is not solving the problem. Now that's just one example. We have a number of other examples in areas that we're working on. We're exploring in animal health, for example, the treatment of viral illnesses in a variety of both domestic companion animals and livestock animals. And all of these things that we're doing, we're working with our experts, we're working with our advisors, we're really honing down on the science to understand where our technology with both macrocyclic lactones and other insoluble compounds can really make an impact and provide benefit to both animals and humans around the world.
Wow, so we've covered a ton of ground today. I thank you if you've stayed plugged in and went through the details with us. But as you can see, there's no shortage of many incredible projects that we're working on. As we evolve as a company, it's been fascinating to see how we've transformed, in introducing the rigor and the talent and bringing on a CMO who's bringing incredible capacity in pharmaceutical discipline, and then yet celebrating our roots and the nod to nutraceuticals and some real tangible things that hopefully you got a sense of today. Very proud of the journey we've been on. I want to take this time just to thank all of our shareholders and the people who believe in us. We use that investment money incredibly wisely. We spend money like it's our own, and I think you can see today that investment is being well watered and nurtured. I want to thank our team inside Mountain Valley. Incredible amount of time and effort. No one has even a start of a sense of the labor and hours and the work that goes into building a business like this. And then of course our advisors and our extended families. We couldn't do it without you. I talk often about change makers. I talk about none of us being the smartest in the room, but together we can, solve problems that for any one of us singly would have been bigger than we might have imagined. So that ecosystem, thank you for being part of it. I'm really proud of your support and that we're able to do this work. And if you haven't already, please go to our website, mountainvalleymd.com or mvmd.com. Sign up, stay plugged into what we're doing. We'd always love to hear from you if you've got great ideas or you need something that science demands. We're going to continue to do this work every day. Thank you.